see myself. My ego jumps up. So, yes, Vivaswan is the name of the present sun god. And Ikshvaku was his grandson. And after Ikshvaku, he founded Ayodhya, which is a nice, very nice place in the north of India. If you haven't seen it, you should go there. Very nice. It's between Delhi and Varanasi in the north. So, not so many tourists like in Vrindavan. Because I was there for the first time in Ayodhya some, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I think me and a friend of mine, we were the only white-skinned people in these 2 weeks we were there. So it's not very populated by Western tourists, not like Vrindavan or Navadvip, Mayapur. So nice, very nice. So, yeah. So Rama was finally, he had to leave for 14 years because Dasharatha had given these two boons. And you cannot say, as a Kshatriya, especially as a king, you cannot say, I take it back. I forget these boons, no, don't give it. He was forced to stick to it. And maybe he would have even opposed to this, but finally, Kaikeyi, she was very clever in this sense. Although she is described as a simple, beautiful woman, but simple. But in this sense, she was clever. She knew exactly how to convince Dasharatha that he will give her everything she wants. Yeah. She had his own palace, like the three main wives of Dasharatha, Kausalya, Kaikeyi, and Sumitra. They had their own palaces. And at this time, maybe it's even now in some parts of India the case, if you have a big house, rich people, then there is a room where everyone can go if he feels sad. So if you feel depressed for some reason, you can go to this room and everyone knows, oh, she's not in a good shape or he's not in a good shape, so leave him alone, or her. It's a nice thing, but because sometimes it's nice to have time on your own. So she went to this room and she took all her jewelry from her body and throw it in the air and on the floor and everything. And then Dasharatha, the point is that in this night before the coronation of Ram, he was very, very happy, Dasharatha. He had reigned for 60,000 years. 60,000 years. He was king. So he felt a little bit tired and a little burnout, so to say. So he was happy that he can give the power of a king to his eldest son. Especially he was happy because everyone loved Ram. Everyone. So, because he was very gentle, he was beautiful, he was skilled, he was polite. So all good qualities you can imagine assembled in him. So Dasharatha was very happy that finally, it was, so to say, accomplished, that he could give the reins of power to his son. So in this mood of joy and happiness, he wanted to tell everybody. So he had told, of course, his ministers and advisors. So he thought, okay, I go I go to my wives and tell them the good news, so we can enjoy together and celebrate together. So he went to Kaikei's rooms, but she was not there. This was surprising. So he asked her maidservants, and they said, "Yeah, she's in the room." So Dasharata was shocked because Kaikei was never in this room. She never felt sad or disappointed. So he went there, and then he saw her laying on the floor, no jewelry. The hair was disheveled, and she looked pretty sad. She was breathing hard and deep. So he picked her up and said, "What's going on?" "Oh, what's happened? I'm in such a joyful mood, and then I see you. How can I help you? What can I do for you? Who did this to you? Is there anyone who did anything wrong to you? I will kill him immediately. Tell me his name. Do you want anything? You want jewelry? You want maidservants? You want the kingdom? Whatever. I give it to you. Just ask me. You can ask me anything." And she was not responding. She was just a little, like moaning and breathing. And so he continued and said, "Just tell me what's going on. Tell me. I give you everything. Just ask for anything, whatever it is." And then he said, "I swear you in the name of Ram, I give you everything." And this sentence finally was binding him, because he was giving his oath in the name of Ram. So he could not step back from that. No. So finally, Kaikei and Ram came in the morning of the ceremony, to his father, to Dasharatha, to ask him what is going to be and how the ceremony will take place and everything. But Dasharatha was so heartbroken, he could not speak. The idea that he has to send his beloved Rama to the forest was just too much. He could not speak. He was just laying on a couch, on a bed, and moaning and crying. And of course, Rama was shocked. He has never seen his father in such a state. He asked Kaikei what's going on, and Kaikei said, "Well, your father, he wanted to ask you something, but he's afraid to do it." And this shocked Ram, because he said, "No, there's nothing he cannot ask me. Why should he be afraid? He can ask me anything, no problem. I'm very sad that he thinks he cannot ask me for anything. No, he should know that whatever he orders, it's my desire." Yeah, Kaikei said, "Well, yeah, he cannot talk really, but I will explain it to you." So he asks you to go to the forest for 14 years. So anyway, it's a long story at this point. There's some arguing back and forth. Finally, as Sita hears that Rama will go to the forest, of course, Rama agrees immediately and says, "No problem, 14 years, so what's the point?" Yeah. Although he was supposed to become the king at this day, some hours later, he said, "I go to the forest 14 years, that's all right." So finally, Sita, she demanded that she will go with him. There's also a lot of arguing back and forth, and uh, she always says, "Oh, it will be beautiful to be with you in the forest. There are, butterflies, and there are birds, and there are flowers." So she describes the forest as something nice, and Rama always counteracts this argument and said, "No, they're wild insects. They're heavily, you know, ferocious animals. They're even monsters, rakshasas, asuras. So it's not a nice place. You are used to walk on marmor, nice floor, but there are no. This is not a nice environment. There's sand and there are thorns, and you will hurt your feet. It will not take even one day, and your feet are completely. uh, so. So she gave. And when she said, "Oh, there will be a nice lake, and we can go swimming," and Ram said, "Yeah, but there are water snakes, and there are crocodiles, and so." But she was not. She was not to be convinced to stay home. She said, "My place is on your side. This is what my father told me. This is the way it is." And then she gave the final argument. She said, "In my childhood, some brahmanas came to our palace, and they said, one day I will go to the forest for many years." And Sita said, "So I think this is the time." The brahmanas, they foretold this, so now let's go. So Lakshman, one of Rama's brothers, he also demanded to go with Ram. Ram also first refused to take him, but then finally Lakshman convinced him. And also, Lakshman is very passionate, so he's very outspoken. And before he demanded to go with Ram, he said, "Just give me the order and I will kill the Darsharata. This is a horrible idea that he will send you to the forest. So I will kill him immediately. This is not my father anymore." But Ram said, "No, calm down. No." So maybe Ram thought, better I take Lakshman with me instead of leaving him here with Dasharatha. I don't know what he will do. So finally he gave in and said, "Okay, you can come with us." Because Lakshman also said, "This is a dangerous place, the forest, and someone has to protect you and Sita, especially if you are, on your own, or you have some private hours. So someone has to guard your hut." Because Lakshman built two huts, one for Sita and Ram and one for himself. So they all, so finally they went to Dasharatha, and they were prepared to leave. Of course, the scene you cannot imagine, because you see they had in the palace, in the assembly hall of Dasharatha. This is not like this. It is huge. Thousands of people fill in, and there are marmor, there are diamonds, jewels everywhere. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Today, if you would like to build such a hall, it takes you not millions, it takes you billions. So it was a wonderful place. And of course, everyone was in a joyous mood. They were chanting, they were dancing, they were embracing each other, because they all said, "Oh, now this is nice. Today Rama is crowned." Yes, even the babies, they were joyous. Even the animals in Ayodhya, They were joyous. They understood what was going on. So everyone was happy. So everyone was waiting that Dasharatha will come and the Brahmanas will come, and the ceremony, which often goes on for many days, not only one day, and there will be food distributed, tons and tons of it. And the kings give donations. They give cows, they give gold, they give money, they give everything. This is the rule. So everyone was in such a joyous mood because they had danced the whole night already. The whole city, in the night, as they heard there will be a coronation of Ram, there was a huge festival for everyone. Children had not go to bed. They could do whatever they want. Everyone was on the streets dancing and singing. And so the whole city was just one festival. Can you imagine? Like an Oktoberfest times 100. This was the point. Of course, not this machines there. But the mood was there. No alcohol, of course. Oh, the Shudras, they drank. The Shudras, they drank alcohol. So in this mood, the whole night was there was no night because everything was lighted. There were so many lights and chanting and dancing. Some here and there, some people were laying on the street and sleeping, especially children. The shops were open. Everyone could take whatever he wanted from the shops. Yeah, they were on the roofs waiting for the ceremony, for the procession. This was the mood. And in the assembly hall, thousands of people were waiting. And then Rama, Lakshman, and Sita come in, but not in a festival attire, not bedecked with jewelry and everything. They came with simple clothes, and everyone was shocked. And for many, this was the first time that they saw Sita face to face, because to this time, high-class women were not to be seen by everyone. So everyone was bewildered, and just they were chanting and dancing and shouting, and then in 1 second, silence. The three came in, and then they had to hear the news that they have to go to the forest. And then they changed their dress to simple clothes, to deerskin for Rama and Lakshman. And Sita took it not directly. She took this simple clothes over her former clothes. She didn't change, but this is a side point, not so important. So then they went on the car. Sumantra was the driver. He was Dasharatha's personal driver. And just coming out of the city was a problem because the streets were packed with people. If you have been to Ratha Yatra in Jagannath Puri, you know what I mean. The streets are packed. So to this time, they were all there. They were waiting for the procession. That Rama goes from Dasharatha's palace to the place where the yajna takes place. So, but then these three people came, Rama, Lakshman, and Sita, on the car, and they were going outside of the city. And these people, they tried to stop the car because they didn't understand what's going on. Not everyone heard what really took place. Finally, after some minutes, it spread around that Kaikeyi was demanding Rama leaving the city. So they tried to to hinder the car to leave the city, and Rama always shouted to the driver, speed up, speed up. And behind the car there were Dasharatha following, supported by two wives and some servants, Saya and Sumitra, not by Kaikeyi, because she said, never touch me again, I will never see you again. He was so disappointed, of course. So he tried to follow the car, which was going very slowly through the streets. But he had to be supported by people because he lost consciousness, fell to the ground, then he stood up again, and a minute later again he was unconscious, and so all the time. And of course the people, they were unsure what was going on, and there was a huge cloud of dust in the air, and horrible scene. People started crying as they heard what is going on. The Rama has to leave. And others were shouting, and some fell unconscious also. So it's a heartbreaking scene. Finally, they managed to come out of Ayodhya. It was already night, more or less, evening, night. So they stopped at the river Sarayu. And next morning, Ram was, of course, he understood, I cannot go to the forest with thousands of people because the people of Ayodhya, they followed the car. He said, if Rama is leaving, we're also leaving. Why should we stay in Ayodhya? Let Kaikeyi live here. She can live on her own. She can have the whole Ayodhya. We don't care. If Rama is going to the forest, we also go to the forest. This, of course, is impossible because the forest is a place for animals and for sadhus, yogis, who live very simple. In the forest you cannot live with a lot of luxus. So they live simple, they meditate, they do their pujas and yagyas and so on. So this is the place. The forest is the place for the eremites and yogis. So Ram understood this is not just an affair of a day. They want to stay the whole 14 years with me in the forest, thousands of people. Impossible. So we made a little trick so that the people, the next morning as they awoke, Ram was gone, and Sita and Lakshman, of course, they were gone. And they couldn't find traces. So they went back to Ayodhya. Yes. So the first place Rama and Sita and Lakshman went was Chitrakoot. They had some encounters also on the way, which is interesting because if you look at the closest friends of Rama, except Lakshman, they were all not in the highest ranks, so to say. One of his close friends was Jatayu, an eagle. Of course, Hanuman and Vanara, or as usually the people say, a monkey. And another close friend was Guha. And this was one, in the first days in their exile, they met Guha. Guha is the king of some tribes who live in the forest. Usually they're not very, how to say, kind to everyone. Usually they are thieves and robbers, and they live by, different illegal activities. So, but Guha was, in fact, he was a Vaishnava. This is another story, how he became the king of this tribe. So, and he was a close friend to Dasharatha from their childhood on. He was also very old. So they met Guha, and of course Guha was very pleased. And as he heard what was going on, he said, "Okay, I bring you on the other side of the river. Don't worry, I take care of everything." So there is a scene at the evening of this day where Rama, Sita, and Lakshman had met Guha. They lay down on a bed of leaves. Sita and Rama, they lay down just some leaves. And Lakshman and Guha, they guard them. And then they discuss. And it is a very emotional scene because they describe that Sita is used to live to lay down on a nice bed of roses and have maid servants and the nicest food and everything. Now, what she has here, some leaves to eat, and it's cold. So it's very emotional. As they discuss this, and Lakshman even cries when he sees how his brother and his wife, they're just on the floor. So, yeah, that's happy for him. So they are going further into the woods, and as you probably know, in Chitrakoot, which is a place not far from Ayodhya in the north, and east of Ayodhya, direction Varanasi, Chitrakoot. It's a very nice place. They stayed there for some months, and this is the place where Sita was kidnapped. It starts with Shurpanaka. Shurpanaka was the sister of Ravana, and she was a Rakshasi. Usually, Rakshasis are not very beautiful, but some Rakshasis or Rakshasas, they have the ability to change their form. They can take another form. Nice. Yeah. They like to be ugly, although Ravana was very handsome. Also, Kumbhakarna was strange. He was not so beautiful. But this isn't. We come later to Kumbhakarna. So Shurpanaka, she lived in this place, a region called Janastan, in the middle and south of India, of now India. So part of Janastan was Chitrakoot. The idea was that Janastan reached up to the southern shore of India. And on the other side, not far away, not far, 100 yojanas, 800 miles, there was Lanka, the abode of Ravana. So he had stationed some army and some relatives at Shurpanaka in this Janastan region, forest region, so that he can be informed if there are some enemies coming down South India, right? So this was kind of forepost, so to say. So this was also the place where Shurpanaka lived. And one day she came to the huts of Ram, Sita, and Lakshman, and she saw, she was hiding behind some bushes, but then she saw Ram, how beautiful he was. So Rakshasas are not stupid. She understood if I go with my form to him, then he will refuse. So I needed also a beautiful form so I can convince him that he becomes my husband. Otherwise, no way. So she took up a beautiful form, and then she went to Rama and said, "Oh, wonderful." And she didn't ask much who you are. No, she didn't care. She just was interested in union with him, in a relationship. So, we can enjoy together. Let's have some fun. And Ram, of course, he took this Ratha, this vow, Eka Patni Vrata, very famous in India. I have only one wife. Eka means one and Patni means wife. So Ratha means vow. So this is the vow he took, which is very unusual for Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas usually have more than one wife because they're very passionate. And at certain days in the months, you should not touch a woman. So they need more than one woman. This was the idea. Yeah. There are a lot of stories where kings have thousands of wives. Ravana had thousands of wives. But Ram had taken this vow, Ekapatni Vrata, I have only one wife. So of course Shurpanakha didn't know this. She said, "Oh, he looks like a Kshatriya, although he was dressed as an eremite, as a poor yogi in the forest. She could see by his body and by his behavior that he was not a yogi. He was a king, a powerful king. So she tried to convince him that they can go somewhere. She will create a nice place for them. This also she was able to do. And Ram, of course, he was not at all interested. But somehow he was in a mood of joking. He said, "Oh, no, you are so beautiful. Look at my brother. He has no wife," which was a lie. He was also married to Urmila. Right, Urmila. So